An important component to ensuring injury and violence prevention work is continually progressing is growing the next generation of injury and violence prevention professionals. In this week's tabletop conversation, three up-and-coming injury and violence prevention professionals, Elizabeth Boriack from the Dell Children's Medical Center, Ashley Lamar from the JPS Health Network, and Isabell Sakamoto from the Seattle Children's Hospital, talk about the challenge they have faced since entering the field and what things they'll need as they continue to grow into their careers.
Hi guys, thanks so much for being here. I'm very excited to kind of have this conversation with you guys today. Being new in the injury prevention field, and by being new, I mean within the last couple years. I've only been in my position for a little over a year now. I just June, I think, was my 1 year. But before that, I was an intern for an entire year too, which was really exciting because I got to learn a lot about the injury prevention field before actually being in the injury prevention field. And it's been like a learning experience this whole time. And there's just so much that is going on, and the times are changing just within the last 2 years. And it's just been really interesting being not only new to this field, but also a new professional as well. So how have you guys kind of transferred into you guys' new roles?
So I actually just started my job in April. So April 6th was my very first day. And so unfortunately I haven't had, so by the time I started, everyone in my department was working remotely from home. So I haven't had that opportunity yet to really get that sort of community experience, since we're not able to do community outreach events for obvious reasons. And so I immediately, before this, I was working in a clinical job. So I was still working in a hospital. I was working with patient care. So I had to adjust real quickly how to learn from working from home, and how to use our online resources and things like that to communicate with our team. So that was first my adjustment starting. And we immediately had to learn with our program, which just got started a couple months ago, that I'm now the coordinator for. We had to learn how we could take this program and make it virtual. How can we reach community members online, since we can't go out in the community? So the first thing that we could think of was obviously social media, which, my generation, we're really, I won't speak for everyone, but we're pretty active on our social media. So your Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. So that wasn't necessarily unfamiliar territory for me. But it's a little bit different when you're trying to reach the community, right? So it's not, I'm talking with friends necessarily, but how can I make this professional? How can I be informative? How can I be helpful? How can I become a resource for people? So that was one of the biggest, I think, learning things for me, things I need to learn.
Yeah, I can imagine how interesting that is to come into a job that's largely community based and already be at home. I can't even imagine, because that was a huge challenge for me, and I had been here with COVID-19 happening, being able to shift everything we're doing to doing it at home, and from there. And there was this sense of frustration, because I've been out into the community before, and I just wanted to get back out there with my people that I know and that I'm comfortable with, and that I've started, building relationships with, because injury prevention is almost all about building relationships with different people, because although some of these positions are within hospital systems, it's very much community based, and getting to know the people that are also trying to make a difference in your community is just as important as, where you're physically located in the hospital. So that's definitely something that I have felt as well, the challenge of being at home.
I absolutely agree with that. And actually, I feel very similar to you in that while I've been in this current role for less than a year, and I'm still kind of learning it, I was previously at Seattle Children's in an injury prevention role as well. And so I was for the last couple of years, I've been very used to being this time of year out in the community and at different events and doing educational things with the community in partnership with others. And it's been a very challenging transition, of course. And because of the timing, of course, we weren't expecting this. So it's not like we were preparing in advance as far as how we could potentially, switch our formats or even really start to gauge what that might look like and how patient families, and people in the community want to receive information, if they even have the bandwidth to receive some of that education that they normally would, because of all of the other things going on right now that families are having to worry about. And so it's really required patience and a lot of collaboration with other teams throughout the organization. I've also been trying to reach out to different injury prevention folks in the community, like Safe States coalitions Safe Kids coalitions. And so that's been helpful. And I think we finally come to a place where we are able to kind of pivot some of our education and outreach, but at the same time, it's going to be a little bit of a slower transition, I think, because we're still trying to gauge how people are feeling with re-entering community and really trying to get a good understanding of how people want information. And so, yeah, it's definitely been a challenge. We're also trying to think about how we get that information from families and community. So thinking like traditionally we would be conducting in-person listening sessions and things like that. And we're having to think about how to switch that platform to be virtual. So it's just a lot of exercise of patience. And I think what it has provided, of course, is this push to really try new things and be innovative and flexible during these times, but it's definitely been tough.
Definitely. I think one of the things that I think about just coming into a job is, and in this time of COVID-19 is what I really need as someone that is a new professional and someone that is coming into this job, because, coming into a new job where I was just coming out of grad school and essentially a baby professional. And I still consider myself to almost be a baby professional because I'm surrounded by people that have been in this field for 10, 15, 20 years. And so one of the things that I have recognized that I really need is a mentor. That has been something that is very, very important to me. And it's not necessarily just a mentor for injury prevention, but also a mentor for public health, because that's what I got my master's in. And realizing how interconnected everything is and how injury prevention is honestly 100% public health, because public health is all about prevention and being able to have people that I can come to that are seniors in their positions that I can really ask, okay, is this normal? Is this something that always happens? I've run into, situations working for a big organization where there's a lot of red tape. There's a lot of departments that have to work together in order for you to be able to do your job. And so it's been really helpful for me to be able to go to other professionals and say, okay, is this normal? What is this supposed to look like? Because I don't know. And that's been one of my biggest needs as a new person working in a big organization for the first time in my career.
I 100% agree with you, Ashley. And I think now, since I started working remotely, it's like I'm at home by myself. And so I know people that I can reach out to, like I can email or send an instant message, but it's a little bit different than having that normal in-person interaction. I can just, have a quick conversation by sticking my head over to my coworker or something. And I think the greatest learning experience, or the best learning experience I have around injury prevention, was my internship or my practicum experience in my graduate school. And so that's where I learned a lot about injury prevention and what programs are out, like kind of out in the community, and how you interact with them and what actually goes on in this world. So I really was lucky to have that internship opportunity. So I think organizations that are able to host interns or have interns, and, you know, I was unpaid, so it's not like you have to pay for the position, really giving students, even undergraduate students, that opportunity to come in and watch what you're doing. And it'll be beneficial for them, and hopefully it can be beneficial for you as well. And I think I would also add, coming on, so just me working on drowning prevention, some resources I think that are would be helpful is just knowing what's already out in the community around drowning prevention. So there's several organizations and groups that are working on drowning prevention efforts, and it's great. But I also don't want to come in, and even though our situation is a little different since it is a brand new program, I don't want to begin a program that's reinventing the wheel. I want to see what's out there. What are people doing? What are they already done? And I can reach out to them and maybe amplify some of their efforts or collaborate, rather than creating a whole new program or project that's been out in the community for years. So that's would be another resource that's really helpful to have.
Yeah, I think I've heard that phrase, reinventing the wheel, probably 1,000 times since starting, because it is important to realize what resources you already have available to you, so you're not wasting effort and time that could be, instead of focused on developing something, but improving something else. And so that reinventing the wheel just makes me laugh every time, because I'm like, that's pretty much become my mantra for life at this point.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, I totally agree with that. And to your point, I think, like, you know, community partnerships are really key right now. And I mean, always, but to your point, as far as like learning what other organizations are doing similar work and what work has been done and how we can leverage each other to really, like you said, amplify the messages and just kind of work smarter together. So that's definitely key.
Thanks for watching, and remember to subscribe.